Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our program today. Yes, our program today is Choose to be Vulnerable. That's the topic. Choose to be vulnerable. And we are going to look at different aspects of the topic in terms of what does it mean. Also, we are going to also look at when can you be vulnerable, and then why choose to be vulnerable. So we want to give some people some time to come on board. I really hope a lot of people join the program today, because it's a topic that a lot of us don't realize, that when we don't become vulnerable, how much we hinder ourselves, how much we remain stuck. So you really want to look at different aspects of vulnerability. Good. So if you're not on the live today and you're watching the replay, then I really hope you enjoy the program as you watch the replay, because you're going to get the same effect for those people who were live on the program. All right, so we're just going to give people some time. And I always start with 5 people. So whoever else wants to join in, they will join in. And of course, whoever wants to watch the replay. So I'm really excited about this topic, because I continue to make myself vulnerable. So I am really excited about this topic. So let's give people some time. We give them some time. And at CNJ Training and Consultancy Limited, we have a lot of things coming up. Tomorrow we are going to release our second quarter e-newsletter, and please look out for it. And for those of you who would wish to get it on email, you can let us know. Shoot us an email, inbox us, and we will send it via email for you, because sometimes when you post it on Facebook, some people complain that even when they zoom it, they can't really read the information on the newsletter. All right, so that's not a problem. We can email it to other people. All right, so we want to give people some time to come into the program. I know last week we had a holiday, so people were home, so people were just coming in, but that's okay. And one of the reasons why we do it at 12:30 is because normally people's lunch hour is normally from 12 to 1. Some people, it depends, it might be 11:30 to 12:30, so some people have to catch the replay. But a lot of times, that's how lunch hours, they are scheduled. So hence the reason why I chose that time. So at least while I'll give you time to eat. So about 12:30, you finish enjoying that lunch, and then you join in the program. Then you could get ready and go back by your desk. And hence the reason why the program is half hour. All right. We had 2 people on, they left us. Hopefully they'll come back again. So let's hope that people get the notification, because I really don't want to start unless I have at least a few people on board, so we can really and truly dive further into the program. All right, so be patient. If you have joined, be patient. People will come on board. Sometimes people, they get distracted and they don't realize, oh my God, that's the time CNJ Training is on, let me go join the program. So let's give people some time, to come on. Hi, Janelle. Thanks for joining us today. I am glad you're on the program. Yes, you're going to enjoy this topic. So we want to choose to be vulnerable. And so many of us, we have so many hang-ups. We have so many issues about being comfortable in our skin and who we are. So, being vulnerable, that is something I love, but we're gonna really go deep, into this topic. So we have 3 people on. Just want to get 2 more people. Invite a friend. Please share this as you come on board. Please share, so we can have people that can join in and be a part of the topic and be a part of the program today. All right, so that would be very good for us. We really and truly appreciate that. I'm getting a lot of good reviews. The people like the topics. They are very different these days, and trust me, these topics are out of conversations I'm having with people. It might be out of a program I've watched. And yes, just Janelle, yes. And and coming out of this topic, it's a program I was watching, The Red Table with Jada Pickett Smith. And she was talking about vulnerability. Hi Dalet, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Yes. Oh yes. Oh Krista. All right. Right. Nice. And coming out of watching that program, and they were talking about being vulnerable, and the lady went into such great points, and I said, listen, I am going to do a topic on being vulnerable. And then somebody messaged me. She said, she have issues, so she want to get more information. So she was really excited about the topic today. So I felt, wow, this is really and truly great. So I was good. I said, I can't resist. I definitely have to go ahead and do this topic. All right. So we have 3 people. It is now 3:36. So let's give people just one more minute. Just one more minute. So we can have at least 2 or 3 people jump on and join us. And we are going to start, because I want to really go in to the detail about being vulnerable. A lot of us don't understand. Sometimes we are uncomfortable about stuff and we don't recognize it because we're feeling vulnerable. We're feeling exposed, feeling naked. Yeah? So we want to look at that. And at times we make people feel vulnerable, right? Based on how we respond to them, based on how we behave. So we want to also look at that. All right, so one person go on, that's okay. So I'm going to start, right? People will jump on and they would watch, the replay. So we're going to talk about being vulnerable. What does it mean, the word vulnerable? It means that you're able to be easily, physically, emotionally, or mentally hurt, influenced, or attacked. So, in other words, you are a target. You are at risk in all these different areas when you think about being vulnerable. It also means several things. So let's look at these several things that they mean. And we're going to think about the coronavirus. The first thing they said is that the elderly, people who have, different health risks, even though their immune system once is compromised, they are vulnerable. Good? So they have to be mindful and they have to take more precaution than some of us who are not vulnerable. Good? So they are fragile, the elderly, they're weak, they're less able to do things they used to do. So you find that even like today is pension day. You can't tell them, listen, I will go to the bank and help you. No, they want to go, they want their money, but they're vulnerable. Because there are always predators that are willing to attack them and take the money that they've been waiting all month for. And then there are those in a relationship or pursuing one. You feel vulnerable when you decide to admit how you feel about that other person. You take the risk to come out, and then you become vulnerable, and then there's that uncomfortable feeling. You're going out with this person, you're liking the person, you like what you're hearing, and you're building feelings. And voila, you decide, you see me, I go in and share how I feel, yes? And you decide to share how you feel. You make yourself vulnerable. And sometimes you begin to share how you feel, and the person might say, okay, how nice, thank you. But what you're really hoping for is, I feel the same way, yeah? But you feel, so you put yourself at risk there, good? So that's a vulnerable moment. For those who are mentally challenged, they are vulnerable because others take advantage of them. Because they know that, they may not be so strong in their mental capacity. So we take advantage of them. And, you find that happening a lot. You see people on the streets. You see people in the workplace. You may have a sister at home, a brother at home, where cousins and different people make fun of them and they take advantage of them. For those of us who have been hurt, it's difficult for them to trust. And so they are more vulnerable to be easily hurt by others. So any little situation, some people, especially my family, it's a big family. So it's 10 of us. So who have children, then you're having nephews, great nephew, great niece, and when you meet as a bunch. So we had a meet in a big house. So our culture, in the family is always bring pecan. So if you bring somebody new, listen, prepare. I always tell my friends, listen, you want to come to a line by my family, they give pecan. So make up your mind. So if you're a person that easily hurt, you may feel offended. You may feel, my God. I know, and my niece has a friend. She doesn't want to come to any of our line because she knows she feels vulnerable. She feels uncomfortable because she don't like crowd. And then we yapping. And listen, and if you come late and you come with a friend, we want to size him up or size her up. So this is what. So you feel vulnerable. Then there are those who use vulnerable platforms like what I am doing to be vulnerable and to affect lives in a positive way. So I have taken the risk. I'm a risk taker. Yeah, I always like to jump on. Forever, I've always been like that. To be vulnerable. But there's always a price for that, eh? There's always a price. But we cannot allow, the price that we have to pay. We cannot allow those things to hinder us from being vulnerable, from going about to do the things we are called to do. So let's look at, when can you be vulnerable, right? So I looked at 4 points. When can you be vulnerable? You can be vulnerable when you have overcome a lot of challenges in your life. Insecurities, low self-esteem, shyness, defensiveness. Sometimes you're always talking to somebody and they're always defending. Sometimes I see, the media houses, they're interviewing, the top cop, they might be interviewing a minister or whoever, and they're so defensive. They feel vulnerable. They feel, because the questions they're asking, they have to give account. But you have to be able to manage that. Good? So if you haven't overcome these challenges, you will feel exposed and uncomfortable while doing what you love, and that will become a challenge for you. Especially, you love doing what you love, but you haven't dealt with those issues, you haven't dealt with those things. You're going to become vulnerable and you're going to feel uncomfortable. Yeah? When you want to become vulnerable, another point is when you feel comfortable in your skin. This is when you could become vulnerable. Listen, I in business. My apostle always say, Caroline, she have a little size and thing, but she is confident because I had to step in. I am business. I feel comfortable in my skin. Good? So when I like the way I look. I like the way I feel. Good? So I feel comfortable with who I am, and that comes out of self-love, and that comes out of really taking care of who you are, loving who you are, regardless. The hips might be a little big and little thing, but we could work on that. But apart from that, I love me. I love me. So you have to be, some of us might be overweight, underweight, we might stammer, we might have issues pronouncing big words. So if I'm doing a topic and a big word come, I would say, say whatever, and I will say big word. So the people would have the document and they would laugh. So, I'll make a joke out of it. Fear of people. If you call to do presentation and you call to be in front of people, you have to deal with that. When you feel that comfort, it is easy to be vulnerable. Listen, you see me? Put me in front of 1 million people. Put me in front of 10,000 people. I talking just how I talking to you. Because I feel comfortable in my skin. I feel because I love people. I feel comfortable around people. Moses stammered. And he felt vulnerable when God called him. He said to God? He said to God, he asked God to use Joshua's voice. We can miss opportunities if we do not deal with our insecurities and be vulnerable. God loves to use vulnerable people. You know why? Because they obey him. So we have to be, we're always making excuses. We're always making excuses about our vulnerability. This is when you know you're ready to be vulnerable. When you have a safe place. You see that safe place? Hi, Pearl. You see that safe place? Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining. That safe place is so important. When you want to express how you feel, knowing your words will not return to you and others, it's a space where you can trust others and know that it is confidential what you share. You know what's what's supposed to be? Let me say the word supposed to be. You know what's supposed to be a safe place? The HR department at your work. It's supposed to be a safe place, because when employees come and they have issues, and they have concerns even about their own manager, but they need somebody objective to speak about the situation and how they need to go about it. It's supposed to be a safe place. Then they understand their manager heard about it, the manager called them in, they are victimized. We cannot afford to make people feel uncomfortable and vulnerable, because we must provide a safe space for them. Parents, you have to provide a safe place for your children. If it is that they come, that your children come to you with certain things and they say, Mom, don't share that with daddy yet. No, I'm just dealing with this and whatever. And you go and you say, you're going and you're telling your husband, you say, honey, she tell me don't tell you, but the husband can't control what he hear. So he gone. Safe place. Children have to feel comfortable to come to you. Church leaders, when your members come to you, they're struggling in certain areas and they're having problems coping. They want to be able to come to you. They don't want to hear it back. Right? Safe place. When you don't self-blame, that's when you know you're ready to be vulnerable. When you don't self-blame. Well, let me just talk a little about that. Sometimes you will make mistakes and wrong decisions, but don't let that take you down a road of self-blame, because it brings about shame and it makes you feel vulnerable to others. Hi, verily. You remain stuck in a position and ultimately stop making decisions because of your vulnerability. Things will happen. I made a lot of wrong decisions in my life. I've made a lot of errors in my life, even with the business. But guess what? You move on. You learn from it. And this is what we don't understand. And this is what we don't teach our children. This is what we don't teach our employees. Our employees make an error. It might be a very crucial error. It might be even an error that the organization would lose money. But that employee should not feel shame. They should not feel like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. No. Let them understand, you neglected certain things and you should be more careful in this area. However, we all make mistakes. And it happens, and it's part of learning, it's part of growing, and use it as a learning opportunity to help the employee. Yeah, because if you don't, that employee is going to always remain stuck, and every time it comes maybe to a promotion or to take a risk or to do something, they will not do it, because fear that they're going to be blamed for it, fear that they're going to be embarrassed because of how that former manager or supervisor treated and dealt with the situation. Understanding what I'm saying? Let's look at now why choose to be vulnerable. There's a choice, and you have to make that choice to be vulnerable. I, Caroline Joseph, Coffee Joseph, I choose. I made that decision 4 years ago to be vulnerable, to come on Facebook Live and do this program. Because people will criticize. People will say, she know what she's talking about. I don't agree with that, and different things. And you see it, even with COVID-19. A lot of churches are not coming on Facebook Live. They're doing a private Zoom. But we have an opportunity as believers to come on Facebook Live and impact lives. That is what it's all about. Because somebody wants to hear from you. Somebody wants to hear that, wow, I didn't know this church existed. Oh, I love the message. I love the way the pastor preaches. I love the way the apostle preaches. But we fear. We tell ourselves, you see all those comments and all those things, that, listen, this is part of the world that we live in. But if we want to impact lives and if we want to affect people in a positive way, we have to become vulnerable. And, because people are waiting on your story. People are waiting to hear from you. Because your story is going to help them further on in life. So become vulnerable. Yes? And stop. Yes, Janelle, we have to choose to be vulnerable. You want to choose to become vulnerable to help others overcome their insecurities. So I have some size. Good. So there's some people I meet and they say, oh, Caroline, you just be so confident. I just feel so fun. I say, funny and what? I say, you're looking good. I say, listen, men love you. It always have that man who like we size. So why you're feeling uncomfortable and vulnerable, and then certain things you're always cloaking up yourself. You don't want to wear nice little clothes or show up your nice little shape. I have a small waist, and then it come out good. But you those are insecurities that we have to overcome. And the more I share, I remember Verily told me one time, Caroline, I love the way you're vulnerable with us. And I share now. I will not be vulnerable and go on the beach in a two-piece. Come on. I will not be. So, you know what I mean? I will wait until I lose a little weight, you tone up and thing, and then you step out. Good? So I ain't reached that part, because remember, you're going to be vulnerable in different areas of your life. Good? So I ain't reached that stage yet to be vulnerable in those areas. You nearly understand, right? So, I'll cover up a bit. Nice. You want to choose to be vulnerable because you want to go places that no one has gone before. We want to go. People who are vulnerable have no fear of man, and they are risk takers. They will end up before great men and women because they have decided to take that risk even when they may not have all the tools and the know-how. Listen, I could only talk from my own situation, and when in 2016 the Lord said to me, I need you to jump out, start your own business. I don't know nothing about business. How I start in a business, how I run in a business. And listen, as far as God was concerned, I gave you the tools. You have been training for years. Use them now. And this is what I tell my mentees. I give you the tools. When the situation comes, use it. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any men on, I had to become vulnerable because I choose to obey. And I went and I learned. Listen, I didn't know anything about mentorship. I don't know anything about training and development. The Lord taught me. I developed documents. I connected with right people. And I just learned. And I'm amazed, I'm on the talk show radio talking about business, giving innovative ideas. Some of the things that just come to me, just downloaded in my mind. And I know it's not me. I ain't so bright. Good? So I know it's the Lord. But God take you places and He bring you before great men because you're willing to be vulnerable. And I remember last year when I did the corporate governance conference, and when I saw the audience, I was like, oh my God, listen, I had to be vulnerable. And then the thing that we put up for them to do the case study, it wasn't working. And listen, I had to pull myself together because people ain't supposed to know what's going on. And I just went out there. I said, you know what? I going on no stage. I going out to meet people. Because you see, when people, sometimes when you confront people and you go to people, you kind of make them feel, well, okay. So they pay attention because you want to engage them, right? So you want to go places. Now, like, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Every day I post. And, one of the LinkedIn strategists, she contacted me. They are seeing the boldness. They are seeing how vulnerable I am. They are seeing the topics that I'm talking about. And, they are really enjoying it. Yes, verily. Unbelievable opportunities. And they like what they're seeing. So they asked me, do you have a website? I told them I'm working on it, which I am. They wanna see what else I have to offer. There are people that are reaching out to me because I'm being vulnerable. I am sharing. Another way to become vulnerable, you want to reach people and nations worldwide. You don't want to stay right here. I don't want to just stay on Facebook Live. Listen, I want to be on NBC. I keep telling all of that. I want to be on NBC with Hoda and all of them. I want to be able to meet Al. I want to meet these people. They will see one of my videos and it will go viral. I want to reach people. And I want to reach nations worldwide. I want to hear them say, Caroline, we watch your show and we love what you're saying. Good? Listen, dream big. So if you don't put yourself on platforms where you would be judged, you will never go anywhere. People will judge. They say, oh God, she changed the color here again. What's she doing now? What's going on? She say, no, so 1 minute. Listen to me. I, Pastor Margaret. You have to be able to become vulnerable. Vulnerability makes others pay attention, and therefore they will be interested in hearing what you have to say. Nations would listen to you, and this is what we don't understand. When you begin to share your life and you begin to share who you are, like I share a lot of things with you guys because I am open and I'm vulnerable. Because there are people after, when I go through the comments, they say, Caroline, I needed to hear that. I was going through this. So by so they will inbox me. And I said, wow, because we don't understand. When we share what we're going through, we share our own story. There are people that are waiting to listen. Hi, Delroy. People are waiting to listen to us. So when God calls you to the task and you say no problem, you go call somebody else. You know what? It takes guts. It takes strength. It takes courage to be vulnerable. It's not easy, And you know what is our hardest challenge? People. I always tell young people who are deciding on a career, like they would say, Caroline, oh my God, I want to do HR. You see, people see me and they say HR is so easy. They want to do HR and this and I asked them a few questions. Do you love people? Are you willing to always be blamed? Are you willing to always be criticized? Are you willing for your department to always be the topic of conversation in the lunchroom? I ain't go to 5. They change their mind. They say, okay, I understand. You have to love this thing. It's a very vulnerable career. HR, you're always the topic of conversation. Let me know what they're doing. Waste of time. Always making bad decisions. You can't go to them. They're not confidential. Always blame. And I am not saying some of the things are not true, but you must always be that one that will stand out, that one that will be different. Good? So you have to become vulnerable because you have something to present to the people. But we have to know when. We have to know who. We have to know the space in which we are going to be vulnerable. There's some people I could talk my heart to. I could say whatever. You're comfortable, when you're alone, and and there's some things I would share with you guys. I feel free. I can share, but there's not everything I will come here and say. Right? So you have to know. You have to know how. You have to know when, and there's timing. And as I said to you earlier on, deal with those insecurities. Deal with your fears. Deal with those things that make you feel uncomfortable. And don't blame others. We have a way, we love to say, you make me uncomfortable. How I making you feel uncomfortable? No, sweetie. You were feeling uncomfortable before. You were feeling uncomfortable before, and this is what we don't understand. But that thing was a trigger. That thing that person did, that thing that person said was a trigger. So it made you feel uncomfortable because there are things you're not dealing with. You're feeling vulnerable. And I want to make a point before I go on to my last point. Parents, we make our children feel vulnerable. And you know what we do? We take these little ones and we make them up, we put them on Facebook. Oh, he's so cute. She's so cute. And we have them in little short skirts, and listen, you're making your children vulnerable for predators. They're watching, they're going on your page, seeing where all you're living, stalking all you. Stop it. Don't do that. That is a negative impact on your children. Don't make your children vulnerable. And then what happened is children, so you're making them feel like adults too soon. Yes, Pastor Margaret, boundaries. You're making them feel like an adult too soon. And then when they start to misbehave and rebel, what happened to you? Behave like a child. You feel as a big woman. Won't you dressing them up? Won't you put in makeup on them? We make our children vulnerable, and they go in school and they want to put their skirt up short because those are some of the things that we were putting into their spirit. Those are some of the things we were putting into their mind and into their hearts. Good? So the last point I want to talk about, to choose to become vulnerable, you have to be used by God. Most important. This is very dear to my heart. God loves vulnerable people. I want to say that again. God loves vulnerable people. Hence the reason why he said, David is a man after my own heart. David in business. Listen, when I got saved, he was my favorite character. Still is. David in business. He is a man that is willing to go the distance regardless of what others think, regardless of what his wife thought. Micah at the time, she looked at him and he dancing. He in business is my God. I rejoicing. He in business. When Goliath, I'm going to tell all you this thing now, man. When Goliath was mocking the army of God, and David came by to drop off supplies for his brothers, and he heard the Philistine mocking the God of Israel, he was incensed. He said, well, what's going on with this uncircumcised Philistine boy? What's going on here? And even though he was not a soldier in the army, he was a soldier in the army of God. He didn't have the tools, you know. But God was training him in the background with the sheep, with the bear, and with the wolves. God, and a lot of times that happened to a lot of you. God training you up. God was training me up as an HR professional. God trained me up as a preschool teacher. And God was building me. And he said, jump out now. You have the tools. And this is what we don't understand. David chose to be vulnerable. And here what David asked, I like him too bad. He said, what is the reward for killing Goliath? Why getting out of this? Come now, man. If you choose to be vulnerable, get some money in the meantime now, man. Yes, Pastor Margaret, I comment to that. Good. And you know, David wanted to know work again. Is there a cost for this? Nice. Imagine that. He knew he could do it. And I believe, listen, all you don't quote me, this is what I believe, personal, that he made God proud that day. God, when he said, look, my son now, man. Look him. He get to know it. He was vulnerable and he took down Goliath. He built a reputation that was fierce. You know, when you remember there was one time David was only killing, when they go out to battle, they say Saul killed 1,000, David killed tens of thousands. You understand? It caused pecan. You know why? David knew who he was. David dealt with his insecurities. David dealt with his fear. And when he was there with the sheep and God as a shepherd, David dealt with all those things. And a lot of us, we have talents. We have giftings, and we holding on the fear of man, fear to succeed, fear to fail. Listen, if you fail, you fail. You know much time I fail? You know much time I fail, much errors I make? But here what? I go in again. I say, oh, this is what I did wrong. I go in again. Because we have to become vulnerable. How will people know who you are? If you keep hiding in the corner. If you keep hiding under the table. Listen to me. We have to become vulnerable. Oh God, do the Facebook Live now. Do the YouTube tutorial now. Let people know about you now. Come on now. We have to become vulnerable. And you know, my question is today, what's keeping you back from choosing to become vulnerable? What are your continued excuses? Yes, you will be criticized. Yes, you will be judged. You will even be accused. But you are needed to help someone who is waiting on your story. Simple things like pursuing your MBA, your PhD, which I am going to do, bachelor's, Bible school, becoming that teacher, opening your business. Where's your story, brother? Where's your story, sister? It was a most vulnerable move for me to start my business. As I said to you guys, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about mentorship. I didn't know anything about training and development. The Lord taught me, the Holy Spirit directed me, and I learned. And I would sit and I would just develop documents. And I'm like, I did this? Because I always say I'm so bright. Good? So I had, as Pastor Margaret said, I had to rely totally on God. And I had to not just rely, you know, it was a total, in fact, my life is a total reliance on my God. Because everything, and my God have a way. He have me here with the mentorship, he have me here with training, he will switch it up. He say, okay, I want you to go in another avenue. But I have to be willing, and he like that. I have to be willing always to take those risks. Because I am totally relying on him. And you know, I said, you know, today when I was doing up the information to become, choose to become vulnerable, I said I'm going to do an ebook on this and go into more detail because I think people need help. Because listen, I am into vision. I am into purpose. I am into don't leave this earth unless you accomplish that thing which you have been called to do. No, don't let that burn up. When your name call and they put up the screen and they say, oh God, Margaret, Janelle, and that thing that God called you to do, that thing that you love, get burned up because fear, because you didn't want to be vulnerable, you're uncomfortable, because no, don't let that thing go down. And listen to me, a lot of times we run from things because we're uncomfortable. What you're uncomfortable about? Oh God, deal with it now. If you're uncomfortable about it, deal with it. Because it means that you have not reached that place where you could be vulnerable and free. And when you become like that, people like, wow, way, I didn't know he was so talented. I didn't know she was so talented. Fantastic. I am going after that. That person is waiting for you to do that thing so they could get that push. I encourage you today, if you're having issues in becoming vulnerable, you can join us at C&J Training and Consultancy Limited, where we have our mentorship program, and we will take you through the process and we will help you to become vulnerable. Because this is what it's all about. You know why? You see, when you get to know yourself, you see, when you get to deal with your issues and you start to love who you are, listen to me, vulnerability, you're stepping out. Apostle asks you to do this, you're stepping out. Your boss asks you to do that, you're stepping out. You're even thinking, quite, of course. And you always, yes, I will help. Yes, I will do. You know, there are always those children, risk takers, they're always willing. They will go places. They will go places. So I encourage you today, please, please, go over the live. For those of you that came in late, watch the replay. Understand what I said at the beginning. Choose to become vulnerable. But before you do that, understand the steps you have to take before you become vulnerable. All right, so I just want to encourage you tomorrow, expect our flyer out on kids mentorship. A lot of people already said to me that they're going to enroll their children because I think it's a critical time. Our kids, in terms of the social interaction, they're being deprived. And the good thing about Zoom is any child could take part. International, local, regional, you can be a part and you can register for our program. The program is going to be $150, right? And that program, I'm going to look at if it's going to go for a few weeks, if it's going to go for a few months, whatever. You'll get the details, good, on the flyer. Good, so it is important for us, for our kids. They are suffering. I call them the pandemic era for children. So these are the children that we're going to have to pay attention to in terms of depression, in terms of being downcast, and all those little shortcomings that they may experience coming out of this because they're being taken away. Children cannot social distance. It's difficult for them. We are already getting a challenge, far less for them. All right. So I just want to encourage you, look out for that flyer on kids mentorship, and we are also going to release our second quarter e-newsletter tomorrow. Look out for it. For those of you who cannot read it, sometimes, because I have to do a PNG and it may not be able to zoom in, inbox me your email address. I'll send an email for you so you can go through and see what is happening. You're welcome, Pastor Margaret. See what is happening when it comes, to our e-newsletter, because we want to keep you updated. C&J Training and Consulting, we are going places. We are building. We are launching our website October this month also. So keep informed. We are building in the background. We are building, and we are going to be a fantastic organization because we want to touch lives, we want to reach lives, we want to impact people's lives. All right, so be encouraged. Understand that I have gone through all those things and it didn't happen overnight. It took time because I had my own insecurities also. All right, so stay blessed, stay encouraged. Yes, and join us next week Thursday for another exciting topic. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy your weekend. All right, and don't forget, share. Also, please, all these videos are going to be uploaded on YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to it also. Thank you. Bye-bye.